Hi there, this is Women in Law podcast, and it is proudly sponsored by her Dream Initiative. This podcast is to challenge, inform, and inspire you as a female who desires to thrive in the legal field. So, welcome, Mrs.Foluke Akinmoladun. It is such an honor to have you here with us today. Thank you for taking this time out.
Thank you for having me, Heritage. I am honored to be on your program, Women in Law Today, and I look forward to this program becoming an international platform for mentoring women in the legal space.
Thank you, Ma. So, I just want to, because our listeners will be curious as to what exactly you do in the legal field, which from personal experience, I know it has been a lot, and you are literally a trailblazer that I look up to. So I know, we could we could be inspired just hearing your story. So can you just give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Okay. So, like you said in the beginning, my name is Foluke Akinmoladun. I'm currently the managing solicitor for Trizon Law Chambers, which is a law firm that I've run for about 11 years now. We started in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, in July 2011. And it was a very interesting journey because in those days when I first started my law firm, I really didn't have clients per se. Most of my first clients were my husband's friends. But anyway, let me before I go into the full story, let me just complete the profile. So, in addition to that, I'm a lawyer, I'm an accountant, and I'm also a mediator and an arbitrator. So I've worked on both Nigerian legal matters and international legal matters because I have a master's in international comparative law from the American University in Cairo, and I also have a first degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, Oba University.
Yeah.
and and I also I'm one exam away from being a chartered accountant with the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants in the United Kingdom.
Wow, awesome.
I'm also in the process of becoming a member of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers in the UK. Essentially, so I was talking about ICS, and I'm going to give a reason why I'm having to give this breakdown when I speak, going forward. Apart from that, I've written articles that have published in both Nigerian and international journals and newspapers. I used to be the Director General of the African Shipowners Association of Nigeria. I stepped down just recently on the 31st of January, and I'm currently the head of the transportation work stream of the National Action Committee on Nigeria's implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement in Nigeria. So I guess in a nutshell, that is pretty much Foluke.
Wow. This is, in fact, it's a lot, a whole lot. And I can't just help but, imagine how you had to take these responsibilities up at various times, how you had to balance everything up together, making it, work well. And I really need to ask, at what point did you gain this clarity, concerning everything you're currently doing now regarding Trizon law chambers, regarding every other position you've taken? I just want to know how you were able to get to that point of, oh, this is what I want to do.
Okay, so let me start from the fact that it is very important. I mean, I don't know how other people do it, but I'm a Christian and I find that it's extremely important to pray, to have a sense of direction, and to be friends with the Bible. It's so important because it helps you to know what to value in life. There's this verse of the Bible where the Apostle Paul is telling us, learn to number your days, for the days are evil. In other words, learn to take account of the time that you have. Don't spend it in frivolous activities or in things that you cannot really look back and be proud of. So that's one. Then two, you need to have a moral compass. And for me, like I said, my own moral compass is the Bible, because it gives you a gap, an open field that has no owner is not as valued as a field that has a fence and has an owner that has paid a price for it. For me, I look at myself as, oh, Christ has paid the price for me, so I can't afford to live my life anyhow. So if you start from base, it's easier to understand why I do things that I do. So that's number one, having a right relationship, with your God, and for me, with my Bible. Secondly is be very careful of your association. So when I say association, for female law students, it would be your friends, it would be anybody that you are considering getting married to. I cannot overemphasize how important it is not to marry the wrong person. I mean, if you end up marrying the wrong person, so many life decisions that you were supposed to make together or that could help you propel could actually hinder you. It's actually better for you to be single and happy than for you to be married to a terrible person. Yeah. And so it's important that, you have character and you look for character in the other person. And one of the things, I know that this is not maybe core law, but one of the things that's really important for young women to realize is speak to the sisters and the mother and the female friends of the person you want to get married to. That will give you a compass as to his own moral standings as far as women are concerned. So if you're dating a guy that has only male friends, women are afraid to be around him, then you have a problem, because eventually there will be a problem with you being around him, because you're a new person into his circle of friends. So whether you like it or not, your husband has to be your friend, otherwise your life will just be miserable. Then yeah, my husband is my best friend. I mean, we have our differences and all, but we always settle it, because we started from a foundation of, look, we're friends, before we actually got married. And interestingly, we met in Ife. That's off key, but I'll just mention that. We met with Ife architecture, first degree and master's. Anyway, apart from whoever you're going to marry, if you choose to marry, so I need to point that out. If you choose to be single for life, stick to that and be to be single, because women are more affected when they are emotionally involved with someone, especially if they don't end up marrying the person. So I don't want to go into the other things, because we all know what is right and wrong, but we tend to underestimate the effect that an emotional relationship will have, and it's really harder on women. Men can sort of keep it on the surface and move on, but for women it can be really difficult. These are some of the things that, because as a person you need to be emotionally and physically and mentally present for you to take decisions and stick to those decisions and see the results from those decisions. So I think I needed to make that foundation clear. The other thing is the right education. So when I say education, I don't mean, just going to the university. The university is a fantastic place to get your foundation. But beyond that, what is your relevance in the marketplace? So in other words, how relevant is what you are studying to the business space that you're going into? So if you're a lawyer, if you studied law because your parents couldn't study law in their younger years and they have forced it on you, be clear as to what you want to do with the law. So if at the end of the day, law was never your forte, please begin to doing professional certifications in line with whatever you did, because law is a good tool. So if you wanted to be a fashion designer, for instance, while in university, look for a tailor shop and start going there and taking classes. So by the time you graduated, you are not only graduating with your legal skills, you're also graduating with tailoring and fashion designing skills that becomes very useful to you when you decide to open your own fashion designer's outfit. Because as a lawyer, you think logically and you think structurally. So your fashion designing outfit would be far more prestigious than someone who maybe did secondary school or OND or HND and then decided to set up a fashion designing outfit. So don't say, my mother and my father wanted me to study law, so I've studied it, I've given them their certificate, I'm moving on with my life. Apart from the fact that, even from the Bible's perspective, the Bible says, honor your father and your mother, for in it there's the blessing to live a long life. There's also the part of being blessed by your parents. Yes, they may have made a wrong decision for you, but all things work together for good to them that believe and trust in the Lord. You can make it work for your good. So I remember about 3 or 4 years ago where I was invited to give a career talk to students in Unilag. And I remember that out of all of us, myself and one other lady, we are the only practicing lawyers. Every other person, Mrs.Foluke Akinmoladun, the famous actress that was in Wedding Party, was there. Interestingly, she's a lawyer. Some IT guys, I think maybe either from Paystack or Flutterwave that were lawyers were there as well. Some movie producers were there. You know, they were from different sectors and walks of life. I mean, that for me was a huge eye opener. And that was where I realized truly law is a great foundation for anything you want to do. Things that I cherish, you know, when I was waiting for law school results, because my parents were already out of the country. So I had to actually stay in quarters, waiting for law school forms. Shout out to Professor Popola. That man is an amazing gentleman. You know, I was his class rep in maritime law and energy and investment law. And I went to him and he's like, you know, myself and a colleague of mine were both in that predicament. He said, just tell them you're on the dean's list, because he was the dean then. And that was how, you know, I was able to get law school. I mean, I almost lost a whole year in law school because of, you know, this issue of administrative inefficiencies. Anyway, that's a story for another day. I just thought I should keep it in there that regardless of what you face, if you pray and you believe that, you know, God will pull you through it, he will pull you through it. In terms of the right education, so why did I bring up that story? Between the time when I was waiting for law school forms to come out and when exam had ended and we had received our result, I went to do a 2 to 3 month hairdressing. Now we'll call it course, but I basically went to a salon to learn how to make hair. Now, of course, even the salonist was sort of skeptical that what is a graduate coming here to come and do? You know, I was like, one, I was bored, but I didn't want, you know, lounge around just engaging in idle conversation. And I really, really enjoyed the time with her, from washing the salon towels to the funny that happen in salons, to women who sell fake creams to people and it burns people's hair and face. You know, you just see all sorts of characters. You know, and the I don't know whether the salon still exists. I think it was called Midas. She used to be the one who did up the hair for ladies who were doing Miss Ife Poly, all the polytechnics around. She was the one that does their beauty pageant, you know, the hair for the ladies who were involved in beauty pageants and all that. So she was pretty famous in Ife. I don't know if she's still active. This is 2002, 2003. So, no, sorry, 2003, 2004. So I don't know if she's still there. But anyway, the point is that what I was able to learn from Midas, I was then able to sell when I went for my master's at the American University in Cairo. Yes, I was a master's student, but I had this extra time with me because their own education system, the US and even the UK education system, is not as rigid as our own. There's enough time given to students, one, to get an extra job if you wish to do so, but two, to be able to acquire other skills while you're doing your master's program. That's why you see Nigerians spending 9 months for a 2 years program in the UK, because all the courses that would have spread over 2 years, normal curriculum, will do it in 9 months and will pass and will make an A. You know, so anyway, this particular master's was for 2 years, and the interesting part of it was sometimes it might seem like, okay, when we say right education, it might seem like you know, one is talking about going to do another master's or going to go and do a PhD. It's not just academics. It's about the skills. So if you're someone who likes administrative work, once you've done your first degree and you've done law school, I advise you do law school, not because it is particularly useful to you if you are not going to court, but more importantly because society sees it as a prestigious thing for you to have a barrister at law behind your name, a BL. So it also helps your marketability. So go through law school, even if you know that you're not going to practice one day. I have enough friends who the last time they wore their wig and gown was on the day they were called to bar. So in the place of right association, talk to lecturers. It's important. Get their feel on what what guidance they can give you, and don't start talking to them when you're in part 5 and it's difficult to start doing anything. Start talking to them from your part 2, part 3. Let them guide you as to the course you are going to do. I remember I always knew that I was going to be in the commercial space. So when they are doing human rights, I said, no, I'm going for labor law. When they are doing international law, I said, no, I'm going for maritime law. It came from the understanding of, look, this is where I'm going. I was interested in maritime because I didn't want, international law seemed ambiguous to me. So maritime seemed to be more specific. And honestly, going to maritime, I do not regret it at all, because that was the first time I heard about arbitration. And interestingly, in between when the ASU strikes were happening, I didn't stay at home. So during the ASU strikes, I would go to a law firm. So them were staying in the battle. I'll go to a law firm and sort of do like an internship there. I'll tell them they don't need to pay me. I'll just come in. I just want to know what lawyers do. So litigation, I wasn't too crazy about litigation, despite the fact that I knew I wanted to do something that had to do with justice, that had to do with regulations and regulatory compliance. So when I heard about arbitration during my maritime class in part 4, so remember my first, between part 3 and part 4 was one of the longest. We spent a whole year at home, ASU strike.
Wow.
So that was the time when I learned to drive. I learned tailoring. Learned a bit of cake making, but the woman was a terrible teacher. And then later on, I dropped all that. I went for law. Beautiful exuberance. But from that experience, I learned that litigation cannot be everything I will be doing with my life. It's obviously a terrible thing to sit down with only litigation. So that was where the fancy and the love for arbitration grew. And which was why when I went for my master's, even though it was a master's in international and comparative law, my course specifications were international commercial arbitration and foreign investment arbitration. So that gave me the foundation, the theoretical foundation for the arbitration work that I did today.
Honestly, listening to you, I'm just amazed at how you maximized every single opportunity, and it has shaped so much of the heights you've achieved. And it's just, I don't know, I really don't think, or do you feel um female law students are maximizing their potentials, and what do you think has to change? Because listening to you, I could see how you explored, you had a lot of experience, even right from university, you had this straight goal, you had the interest, everything sorted out. And now it just looks like, okay, undergraduates living every day thinking, okay, maybe what I want to do, I would eventually figure it out. And so, what do you think generally about female law students that you see now compared to how it was before?
I actually think that female law students have far more opportunities now than during my time, because you have so many courses online. It's unbelievable. If you go to platforms like Sarah, and there are so many international young associations that you can join. For instance, I will speak for arbitration because that's my place. There is Young ICA, that's the International Council for Commercial Arbitration.
Okay.
Of course, for young guy, you need to show that you've done some things in arbitration. So when you see the requirements, you begin to build yourself towards meeting those requirements. Because the younger you are joining an organization like Young Geekers, the greater the possibility that you can become a regional representative. Because they will look at it that this person has been in Young Geekers for the past 7 years, and she's just, let's say, 31. Maybe you joined when you were 23, just leaving law, just leaving university. I mean, I finished law school at 23. So you can imagine if you've been with them for so long, you are reading their blogs, you read their blogs and you decide that you want to write something and they publish it for you. Law Pavilion, which is a platform for law and solicitors work. What we mean by solicitors work is all these contracts and the like. Commercially, I think it's between 3 to 10,000 naira to get the basic platform per month. If it's something that you know that you can use it to maximize your work, not just in terms of your thesis, but you can use it to start writing articles on arbitration. I mean, I'm privileged to have been the consultant on arbitration for Law Pavilion. And that's a platform, a legal platform that is used by hundreds and thousands of lawyers across Nigeria and outside Nigeria on legal matters that has to do with Nigeria. Now, you have that available to you. I would say not at an expensive price, but at the end of the day, even if it is 1 month that you use it, and use it to get all, because the cases are downloadable. So use it to do your research, write articles, let people see it, or write articles on a LinkedIn profile. Every female law student should have a LinkedIn profile. Even if you are not done with undergraduate, you can begin to write about your observations on the legal developments within the space that you are in. Trust me, future employers will look at that like, this is an asset. She's not going to come on board and we're having to tell her what to do. She already has an understanding of what's going on in the space. So first and foremost, you need to specialize real early. And the analogy for specialization that I give myself is the development of a baby in the mother's womb. Very quickly, from the cell, it grows into the head, the body, the back, and the legs, which comes out from what looks like a tail before. So you have your legs, you have your hands, you have the head, you have all the organs developing and all that. By the time the child is in less than 3 months, the child is already fully developed as a human being. The rest of it is for it to get bigger. So in other words, the sooner you specialize, pick an area of interest, and I would advise maybe 3 areas of interest so that you can be viable in all those areas. Start researching in those spaces. Start getting to know what happens. The internet is king, or queen, depending on how you look at it. Start researching on those. Find out what is happening in the international space as far as those areas are concerned. So for me, for arbitration, and coming back to Nigeria, like I said, Trizon started in Port Harcourt, and by the time my husband relocated to Lagos, I of course moved with him. Initially, I had wanted to work for a law firm because I was like, Lagos has bigger law firms and all that. But my husband said, look, girls, that's why I said it's important to marry the right person. Just keep on, running your law firm. It will eventually blossom in Lagos the same way it was blossoming in Port Harcourt. So
wow.
It wasn't immediate. I mean, I started in Lagos in 2016, and today the rest is the glory of God. So, I'm really happy that I didn't decide to work in another law firm, because he told me, look, your CV is intimidating enough. People just think that you're coming here to work so that you can carry the people's clients away. So just face the vision that you started, and just keep on keeping on that. As far as Nigeria is concerned, you need to just keep running your own thing because you have started on this path. And the other thing about starting my own law firm was that it gave me time, the flexibility of time. I don't say it gave me time. I say it gave me the flexibility of time to be able to be with my kids and to be in their event when and where. So even if they call a parent teacher meeting Monday morning, all I need to do is reschedule my client meeting or ask the court for a different date in court. And I have my Monday morning available to go and to go to their school. So I hardly missed the school event, except maybe there was a court matter and the notice for the event was very late. Most of the events I went to, a few of them, their father, that my husband went to. And so when I say flexibility of time, what I mean is that it allowed me to reschedule my time, but it didn't reduce the volume of work. So there are many nights that I would sleep at 4 a.m. and wake up at 8 or 7, to get the kids ready to go to school and all that. So there were many nights when I accumulated all the nights on Sunday, and after service, did all the all the catching up of sleep that I couldn't get during the week. But so the beauty is, I try and advise women, don't stay in paid employment beyond 5 to 10 years. Start, because if you look at other parts of the world, these companies that we're all celebrating today were started by somebody or a group of people. So you could have friends that you guys used to do things together, and then 10 years down the line, you're like, oh, you've been doing litigation, you've been doing company secretarial work because that's what you've been focused on. You've been doing IP. Let's come together and form a law firm that focuses on litigation, corporate commercial work, and intellectual property. And then you tell yourselves, okay, each person contributes maybe 3 million. After 10 years, trust me, you'll be able to put down that money just in case somebody is taking 3 million. So, but hopefully after 3 years, 10 years of working, you should be able to put up that much together. The three of you come together, okay, bring 3 million together, you have a partnership agreement that anybody that brings in work, whoever brings in work gets maybe 30% of the money, then the other partners get about 20%, and then the rest is left for the office to run. I've just given you a partnership formula right there. So you can just decide, okay, you run, you run from there. It's easy for me to talk about it now because I've gone through 4 partnerships that did not work. They say that when you are failed enough times, you become a philosopher. So if I do ever eventually do the partnership thing, if I venture into that again, that would certainly be one of the considerations for that. So in answering your question, are you maximizing it? No, because you guys have a lot more opportunities than we had during our own time. And like I said, my own was to go to a hairdresser's place. Your own could be very well to do a virtual internship with a law firm abroad. If you are savvy enough on the internet, you would see law firms that are doing virtual internships. And a lot of focus is on Africa these days because of the African Continental Free Trade Area. I tell people, if you are a female and you are young and you are in law or you are in the arbitration space, you are hot cake because you tick off on all the diversity boxes. Female tick, young tick, black tick. So you are the one that they are for. So this is the time for you to start fixing yourself. And yes, the economy is not this, the economy is not that. There are many people in Nigeria who are working for international companies and are earning in dollars and pounds in Nigeria. I've had transactions where I've been paid in pounds. I've had transactions where I've been paid in dollars. So it is for you as a female law student to open your mind that, look, the world is my marketplace. How do I key into it? So I've already given you like tips in terms of ADR. Look for young arbitration associations. If that's all you Google, you will find so many of them. I mean, there is Young ICSID, that's the International Center for Investment Dispute. Through Young ICSID, I was able to become a peer reviewer under the University of Oxford for their articles. Whether or not I've been given enough work is another story entirely. But the point is, I am on this. That's for Young ICSID. As part of ICCR, that's the International Chamber of Commerce Young Arbitration Forum.
Yes.
I've been able to, lead the rapporteur group. That's the group that reports on conferences of the ICC in Nigeria since 2016, when they first had the Africa Regional Conference. The first one I didn't lead, I was the deputy. But from 2017 to date, I have led that rapporteur thing. So the beauty of it is, for all those conferences, I didn't have to pay. And these are conferences of 108,000 naira per person. So I didn't have to pay. And on top of that, I was paid for the work that I did. So, I mean, who would complain? So, so my point is, as a female, you need to be focused. You need to be graceful as well. You need to have a good countenance. Smile. The world is not against you, it's for you. Spend time praying, especially when you are confused. You are as much physical as you are spiritual, and God that is in charge of the spiritual, let Him guide you through that. Because a lot of your emotions and all is really tied to your mindset and your perspective on things. So if you have the wrong mindset or the wrong perspective of things, you won't put your energy where it's meant to be. And when you don't put your energy where it's meant to be, you don't generate the kind of results that you wish you could generate. You don't want to look back at your life at 40, 50, and you're like, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. That's just foolishness. So this is the time for female law students to um, begin to consolidate, specialize, think of the areas that they're interested in. Some, it might be makeup. If it is, then focus on doing very well in your legal studies. Do your bachelor's in law so that you can sue anybody that takes your copyright, your patents on your makeup product. And after that, go to the school. Go to Tara if you need to do a makeup studio training. Go to the places where the people who pay for those services finish from. So if you want to be a company secretary, for instance, you want to be on the board of companies, go and do a program with IOD, the Institute of Directors. In fact, the Institute of Directors just launched their Young IOD group, which I'm working on joining this year. And they just launched it, I think, in 2020 or 2019, when they realized, look, all our directors are all old people, and some of these younger companies don't want old people on their board. Well, that's putting it mildly. But more importantly, just realize, there's diversity, there's a need for diversity, all the cry about diversity, young, female. And the added advantage is internationally, there's also that cry for young, female, and black. So imagine being a director in an international company in Nigeria, and you are in Nigeria, and you are joining their meetings virtually, and you are being paid for sitting allowance, maybe £1,000 and all that. Full money, and you are sitting in your living room in Nigeria, attending their meetings. They are sending the board papers to you via email. You are reading it and sending your responses. I mean, there's just so much that you can do, both within law and outside law. So it's for female lawyers to sit down, young, law students, and of course, young female lawyers as well, to specialize. So look at the different areas of law. Just Google areas of law. You will see maritime, you will see IP, you will see tax. Read them diligently and look at the one that tickles your fancy. And more often than not, before you go into the university, you pretty much know what you like. You may not be sure of what you want to do, but you know what you like. So if you want to be in culinary service, that's important. Like I said, do your law studies, do it well, be the best. So you can decide, okay, I'm going to work in a law firm for 5 years, after which I'm going to put together the money that I saved over that 5 years and pay for a culinary school in France and go to Paris for a year to train on how to cook. And then come back to Nigeria and give us eba that looks like shells, that's shaped in the form of a shell, and okra soup that looks you increase your creative capacity by the skill set that you have. I saw some dishes done by a Nigerian chef in the heart of London. My goodness, I was like, are you sure that is Eba? The way the guy decorated the thing, you would not eat it. You just be looking at it. Are you sure this is So my number one advice is, like the Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Do your law degree, do it well. Do law school, do it exceptionally well. Because that discipline in focus is the same discipline in focus you need in any other area that you choose to excel in. Because whatever knowledge you gain from being focused in law school or in the university, you would not lose. So, for instance, Ms. Balogun was telling us about how, yes, she actually has a master's in law from the UK, by the way.
Wow.
She talked about how she hated law textbooks, but it helped her to, one, not just be a fantastic actress that is disciplined in her craft, but it also helped her to be like one of the first set of legal consultants for Ebony Live TV. So she, because of her knowledge, she knew even if you bring in an external counsel or you bring in an internal counsel for the legal department, she knew what to expect from them because she herself is a lawyer. So don't discountenance your law degree and say, my parents want them to study it. No, my uncle said, if I'm going to have to go to university, that has to be what I'll study. Don't discountenance what you can use law for, because it helps you to have structured, logical thinking. So regardless of wherever you want to go into, even if it is printing press, you will know how to generate the contracts between yourself and your vendors, those who supply you machines, those who supply you papers, and things like that. Because ultimately, the foundation of any business enterprise is agreement, and agreement is contract, and lawyers are the ones that draft contract. So you are in a good space. So make the best of it. Do your best to be the best. Get rid of time-wasting activities. Dispense with friends who do not know where they are going to, because if you are going nowhere, anywhere will take you there. So just be sure you know exactly what you want and chase for it. And you'll be amazed when you are focused. The people who are able to help you just seem to appear from left, right, and center. And you just be wondering, God, how did this person come into my life? By the time you see the impact that person has made in your life, you're wondering, God, what did I do to deserve this? You're just awesome. So in terms of not maximizing, they can only, female law students and young female lawyers can only maximize their potentials when they first have clarity as to what they want to do with their lives, have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan, 30-year plan, 40-year plan. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't hit the bullseye, you would be very far from if you had no plan at all. So have a plan for your life. And in that plan, have spiritual goals, how much of, if you're a Christian, and I encourage you to be a Christian, how much of the Bible you read a year, have goals, apart from spiritual goals, have finance goals. So by the time in my first year of work, I want to be earning 250,000 naira a month. It's not impossible. I know first graduates who are earning 1.5 million a month. So don't even think that these monies are difficult to get. The important thing is that you yourself determine that you will want to earn this money, and then you look for people who are earning that kind of money and what they have. Some of them started working with a master's degree. Some started working with an MBA. Some started working with ICSAN as lawyers. I know there are some lawyers who, while in the university, especially in Unilag, I have a lot of law students who, while they're in the university, are doing ACCA. So by the time they've graduated, they are both lawyers, because ACCA is online, and there are private tutors in Nigeria. So they finish that, and by the time they are done, they end up with a KPMG with a starting salary of maybe 350 to 400,000 naira a month as a fresh graduate, because they are coming in with qualifications that what they call the magic four, the big four. That's the big four accounting firms in the world. They're coming in with what the accounting firm does not need to pay for them to become. So they are valuable from day one. So they are more than willing to pay them for 100K a month. So, use your time wisely. Look for associations that you can belong to. Look for how much it costs. And even if the cost, it looks like it's an arm and a leg, bring it before God. Lord, I want you to help me out with this. Take me to the next level. And so I'll use that as an opportunity. To explain how I even got into the Institute of Chartership Brokers, because that's why I say, prayer is important. Having a very healthy self-esteem is important. So I was a member of Women, still a member of Women in Shipping and Trading Association, Nigeria. And in 2018, an opportunity opened up where they were going to sponsor 5 women around the world to the Institute of Chartership Brokers. Now, unfortunately, I can't remember what they said was not in my form. Maybe there was some, anyway. The point is, I didn't get that of 2018. So that's 2018 stroke 2019. So the next round was 2020. Now, already some people were like, Nigeria was not given, I think it was given to Ghana or something. And Nigeria was not given the previous one, and I think the one before that was also given to Ghana. So they were like, no, this one, no, Nigeria must get it. Interestingly, despite the number of calls, I was the only person in the whole of Western Nigeria that had a complete form by the time the deadline had hit.
Wow.
So, yeah, God works mysterious ways. So by the time they pushed my name forward, Worcester International conducted an interview via Skype. There were 5 different women from different parts of Europe and in the US. And, I went, but as at this time, I had almost completed my ACCA. Right now, I'm just an exam away from being a chartered accountant. And they were like, we like the fact that you have both an understanding of the legal and the finance aspect of things, that it will be easy for you to understand the shipping aspect, because that's the combination of both. Of course, I was like, my fingers were crossed and all. And eventually, when they granted the scholarship, I was shocked, because, like I said, there were only 5 women all over the world. And interestingly, they were picked per continent. So I was the only person from the whole of Africa. And that scholarship is over 5 million naira. Now, I did it, and, to the glory of God, in shipping finance, I got 81%. In introduction to shipping, I got 79%. So the Nigerian office, so the Nigerian office of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers now said, look, there is another scholarship for the next level. So there are 3 levels. We started for the first level. The second level, they said, look, since you may think that it is common, it's not easy to pass this exam. One talk of getting over 80%. So there are these scholarships that the International Maritime organizations give. Some international maritime body gives West Africa, and that for the last couple of years, it has only been taken by Ghana, because Nigerians don't go through the process. They will rather pick and choose. They just pick a course, use it to get a job in maybe NNP or get a job in Shell. That they don't stay to finish the program according to how the institute directs it. Ooh. So that my own program was done according to the institute, so they are putting my name forward based on my percentage. And again, to the glory of God, the second stage now is again on scholarship, which was slightly more expensive than even the first one. So what am I basically trying to say? Now I did these exams, married with 2 kids, a full-time job as a lawyer, and running my law firm. So I'm looking for the jobs, and I'm also doing the jobs along with the lawyers that work for me. I say this not because I'm trying to say, Foluke is a superwoman. No, I'm basically trying to say you can do this and more. Once you are focused, you have the right company, certainly marry the right person. I cannot emphasize this enough. and you of course you remain prayerful, and you consistently look at what is going on in the space that you're in. So be in the right associations. That's like I mentioned, Women in Shipping and Trading Association. There's also Women in Maritime Africa. That's for shipping. There's the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK Nigeria branch. There's the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators, which is again another arbitration body. All these organizations I'm talking about, I'm in all of them. If you are interested in tax is going to be big. So ladies, we are good in accounting naturally. When you go and buy things in the market, you'll be accounting for it when you get to the house.
Yes.
Tax big. So going to tax is going to be big. So the big areas to look out for: tax, intellectual property, ICT law. Those are places that ladies need to really get into, because only they are predominated with guys. And when you get into that space, always aspire to be in the top. What I mean is, be active, be useful. Don't ask for them to give you money for everything. Be volunteer to help the association grow is always important. Seek for the benefit of the other person. It's not always about you. And you know what? Whatever you sow, you will reap. When you keep looking for the good in others, God has a way of replenishing you. And so get into associations. Again, I give my examples from the Bible. When Elijah was being carried in the chariot of horses, and Elisha was looking at him as he was going, he dropped his mantle, and Elisha took that mantle. He now went back to the group of prophets that Elijah had introduced him to before he went. And so the group of prophets now said, people around now said, Elisha is talking like the prophet because he's with the group of prophets. So in other words, when people see you amongst people who are in, for instance, an arbitration body, the assumption is you are an arbitrator. When people see you amongst tax consultants, the assumption is you are a tax consultant, especially if you start presenting papers in those, even if you've not done one tax brief before. Somebody will see you talk, make a presentation at one of their tax conferences, and that woman must be very knowledgeable in tax. Let me bring this 100 million naira transaction to her. You take that transaction and you go and meet others that you know are senior in the association. I have this transaction. Oh, please, how do I go about it? And be kind enough to, even if they don't ask you for money, give them something in return for their advice. It may be, you might decide to buy a bag if it's a female that you want to meet. You might decide, I bought a very good looking bag for one of my Nigerian mentors. She was shocked, but I was like, no, you don't know what you have done in my life. And if it's a guy, buy a good looking wristwatch. By the time the client pays and you're making like maybe 10 or 12 million of that transaction, don't be blessed and bless yourself only. Appreciate the people who've helped you to get to where you are. So I think, in a nutshell, for all of for all that I've been saying today, first and foremost, have a right relationship with God. I cannot overemphasize the place of prayer. Have the right associations in terms of friends. Be in the right associations. Read the right material. Get the right education or skill set, regardless of the area that you're in. But start from a foundation of being really good in the law that you're studying and be really good in law school. I can't emphasize this enough. Even if it means that you need to use your 2-1 or first class to get a job in a law firm or in a company, and just stay there for 5 years to raise the finance that you need to chase your dream. It's better than having to spend 5 years working up and down, hoping that somebody will pity you and eventually finance your dream for you. Then go on the internet, be familiar with the happenings in your space. It's very, very important. Pay for conferences, pay for trainings, take them seriously, and know the people in the field that you are in. And the older people in the field that you are in, reach out to them, ask them to mentor you, and whatever they teach you, do it and be humble about it. Even if, they say, I have a letter, write it for me. Don't say, I've passed the stage of writing letters for people. I'm sure she has somebody in her office that could have done it for her. Don't whatever she says you should do. One of my mentors was the one that, apart from me being in ICC, have opened the door for me to work, with the ICC. So today, then, for 3 or 4 years when I was working with the ICC, I was, only coming for their conferences. Today, I'm a full-fledged member of ICC. I go for their AGMs. I go for their meetings in Lagos or virtually if it's not in Lagos. So, as a nutshell, do not waste your life, and that starts with not wasting your time. I think I can wrap it up at that.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful. Thank you so, so much. And, I will never forget what you also said about, having a good self-esteem and just generally investing in yourself, in your development, making sure that you are hitting the right targets, you're doing the right thing at the right time, and not wasting your time. This has been such an enlightening session, and I have learned so much. I would definitely even listen to this over and over again because I feel like it's something so many people are missing out on and really need to hear and be inspired and be ready to, pick up the pace and get things done. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking out time. I have learned so, so much today. Thank you.